What's going on, everybody? It's your girl Thickness with the Quickness, and you are watching me on my YouTube channel, baby. But before we get started, I would like for you to like me, share me, like it, share me with anybody you like and you love. Okay? Anybody you like and you love. And don't forget to hit that notification bell because every time your girl, Thickness with the Quickness, upload any kind of video, baby, you right there will be first to get notified. Y'all come on in here. First of all, let me give a shout out to all my new subscribers. What's going on, baby? I'm your girl, Thickness with the Quickness. And I want to give a shout out to all my old subscribers. What's good, y'all, in the neighborhood? Okay. So I want to say this before we get started. I want to say I better be late than never, baby. Okay. I might be late, but I'd rather be late than never. Okay, y'all. I want to give a shout out to all my Junes, baby. Come on here. Give y'all self a round of applause. Okay. I want to say happy birthday to all my June, baby. Okay. And me too, baby. I am a June baby. Okay, y'all. Okay, I want to give a shout out to us Junes, baby, especially I'm going to give a big shout out to all the cancers in the house, baby. If you a cancer, raise your hands and get down in the comments and let your girl know when is your birthday, okay? And I want to know if I got a birthday twin in here, okay, y'all? Okay, I just want to say today is June the 21st, baby. It's the first day of summer, baby, and it's the first day of the cancer season. Okay, come on, cancers, y'all got to show up and show out for us, okay? Show up and show out for us, cancers in the house. If you a cancer in the house, you a lover, baby, okay? You are a lover, baby, okay? And as sweet as you want to be until you cross us, okay? All right, y'all. Like I said, it is the first day of summer, y'all. It's been hot than a, oops. And that's how hot it's been outside, y'all. But baby, yet I am too excited because your girl will be celebrating her birthday again coming up soon, okay? Okay. Your girl is a half of 100 and some. Okay, baby. Those ages are creeping up on your girl. The age is creeping up on your girl. But baby, I am here for it and thankful for it. Okay, baby. So I'm just happy to say, give a shout out to all the cancers, baby. What's going on, y'all? Okay, I hope you guys enjoy your birthday, okay? Because you June babies, y'all know we be getting it in, baby, okay? So, yeah, baby. So, I just want to say, y'all, happy birthday to everybody in the month of June, okay? And I'm going to say it again, baby, because it's for real over here, okay? All right, y'all. So, y'all, today is story time now. Okay, today is story time, y'all. And yeah, the story is about me, okay? It is truly about me, all right? So y'all, go on and get your juju beans and your wham whams. And y'all got any kids, go ahead and remove them out the room as well, okay, y'all? People got the negative comments and you ain't got nothing to say, you're miserable, you don't get up and take care of yourself, and y'all go ahead and leave because y'all miserable if you doing all that type of stuff, okay, y'all? So yeah, just go on. If you're not interested in this story, it's all good. You ain't gonna hurt my feelings or you ain't gonna hurt nobody else's feelings over here.
Razi 01.
Okay, guys, I'm back and it is story time. So y'all, this story is when I was turning 16 years old and we was getting ready to start summer jobs, okay? So the summer jobs when you turn 16 years old was really a big thing in Chicago. Everybody be trying to get them a summer job, because this will be your very first job, in your life, because on paper, this will be your very first job on paper because you had to be 16 in order to work in Chicago during that time. So anyway, y'all, I was too excited because that year I was turning 16. Okay. So I'm so excited because this would be my very first summer job. This would be my very first job ever. So anyway, the summer job orientation came up. So I get dressed. I had to be down there at 9 o'clock. So you had to go all the way downtown in downtown Chicago to go to the orientation. So I get up early in the morning, get dressed, and my mom was like, how you gonna get down there? I was like, well, I can catch the bus. She was like, okay. She said, well, no, you ain't gotta take the bus. You could just get your stepdad to take you. So okay. I was like, okay, cool. So my stepdaddy, he took me on downtown to get my first job. So I get in the orientation, y'all. When I tell y'all a lot of people, it was so many people. I mean, kids, teenagers to grown adults was down there getting those summer jobs. Okay. I mean, when you got out there, you had to stand in line to get in the building. That's how many people was downtown to get these summer jobs. So anyway, I ended up getting my way into the building, got me a seat. So here walks in this beautiful, beautiful black woman, pretty hair. She was tall, and when she spoke so well. When she spoke, you turn around and you look at her because that's how well she spoke. And I was like, wow, she is such a beautiful lady, like that. So anyway, her name was Miss Shirley. She was very nice. She was very patient, y'all. She knew what she was doing, y'all. She knew how to handle all those people that was in this orientation, y'all. So, y'all, everybody in there was so rude and so loud and so disrespectful, y'all. Every time she got a chance to talk, everybody was talking over her. And she got tired of it. She finally said, if you guys don't be quiet, she said the whole program is cut. There won't be no summer job program this year. Baby, everybody in there shut their damn mouth. You can hear a pin drop, okay? That's how quiet it got. So she began to tell us what to expect with the summer job. She was especially talking to the brand new people like me. What to expect in the summer job and what you make sure you're on time and all of that stuff. She got through explaining all of that stuff. So then, y'all, she was like, okay, we're done with that part. Let's pass out the applications. And when you get through with your application, bring up your documents and your application up to, up here, and then we'll get you where you need to be. What job we got available for you. Like that. So I'm sitting there, I'm smiling, I'm just happy because this is my first job. So when I get the application, y'all, it said you must be 16 years old. No, nothing less. You must be 16 years old in order for you to work these jobs. And I was like, okay, cool, they ain't talking about me. So as I began to fill out my application, y'all, I looked down on the paper, on the application. The job started early that year. Usually summer jobs don't start until after my birthday, okay? But this particular year, y'all, the summer job started a day before my birthday. So I must have I was just so hurt to see that. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I will be still 15 years old when work start. I'll still be 15. Like that. I was like, man, I got to work. I said, okay, if this job starts the day before my birthday, I'm just going to still fill out this application. So, y'all, I went ahead and filled out the application. And I waited till everybody got done. I held on to that application till everybody got done turning in their application. So I went up to Miss Shirley. I didn't want to talk to nobody but her because she was the head woman in charge. She ran the whole program. So I wanted to go talk to her. So I go up to Miss Shirley. I say, excuse me, Miss Shirley. I say, I noticed on this application that um, that you must be 16 on this day. I say, but I don't turn 16 till after the next day. And she was like, well, she said, I'm sorry. She said, you must be 16 the first day of the summer job. And I was like, well, Miss Shirley, I say, but I'll be 16 the next day. I say, can you please help me? I say, I really want this job. I really want to work this summer. I say, I will be on time. I'll do my job, and I'll do my job well. And I don't even care what kind of job you give me. I just want to work this summer. I was like, I'm getting ready to go to be a sophomore in high school this year. And I want to be able to buy me some nice clothes and nice shoes so I can look nice all through my sophomore year of high school. I say, Miss Shirley, this job will be a big help to me. I said, is it any way that you can help me? Because I'm turning 16 the next day. I say, I can even miss orientation that day. I can miss it, and then I can go to work the following day. And she looked at me. She said, well, she said, since you explained it to me like that, and I see that you really want to work. She said, let me see what I can do. She said, I'm not going to promise you anything. She said, let me see what I can do. And she looking at my application. She said, is this your phone number? I was like, yes. She said, so let me see what I can do. And if I come up with something, I'll call you. And I was like, okay, thank you so much, Miss Shirley. I said, I really would appreciate it. I thank you so much. And she said, you're welcome. And so I left out the building. So the whole ride home, I was just praying like, please let her help me. Please, God, please let her help me. I really need this job. I really want a job this summer. So I was just praying the whole way home. So my stepfather, he noticed that I was a little sad and stuff. So he stopped at the store because he know I love my little junk food, baby. He know I love me some jujus and wham-whams. So he was like, here, go in the store and get you something and grab something for your little brother. And I was like, okay. I go in the store. Now, this is the first time I ever been in this store. Mind you, y'all, we just moved to the south side. We was living on the south side of Chicago. We just had moved over there. So I go in the store, y'all. I'm not paying attention to nobody because I'm just grabbing my little chips, my juice, and everything that I wanted. And I walk up to the register. And as I was looking down, I just looked down at somebody's gym shoes. And I looked at their gym shoes, and then I just looked them all the way up. And here stood a young man, very attractive guy. And you know, at that age, I wasn't looking at no boys because my mama was not playing with me. I could not have a boyfriend. And I looked at him, I was like, man, he is so cute, you know. And he looked at me, and we was just looking at each other, you know. So he smiled at me and I smiled at him, and I just walked out the door. As I walking out the door, he opened the door for me, and I just walked out the door. And I looked back at him, and he just smiled. So I got in the car and I went home. That guy, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all a story about him, okay? Remember him when I tell y'all the story about that guy in the store, okay? So anyway, I go home. My mom was like, how was it? I said, it was good. I said, just the only thing, they said that I got to be 16 on the day of the first day of the summer job. And I don't turn 16 until the next day. And she was like, what? And I said, and it said that I must be 16 years old in order to start this job. And my mom was like, that's messed up. She was like, they usually don't start summer jobs till after your birthday. I said, yeah, I know. I said, I don't know what's going on this year. She was like, what happened? I said, I talked to the lady. I told the lady that I really want this job and everything, and please, help me and all of that. And my mom was like, that's good. You talked to her like that. So y'all, a day went by, didn't hear from Miss Shirley. The first day went by, I didn't hear from Miss Shirley. The second day went by, I did not hear from Miss Shirley. On the third day, Miss Shirley called. My mom was like, well, who's calling? She said, okay, I'll get her. So my mom was like, Miss Shirley on the phone. And I was like, Miss Shirley on the phone? She was like, yes, Miss Shirley on the phone. So I got on the phone. I was like, hey, Miss Shirley, how you doing? She said, hey, how you doing, darling? I say, I'm doing good. She said, well, I got some good news for you. I said, you do? She said, I pulled some strings. Sorry, y'all. She said, I pulled some strings, and I'm going to let you start work when everybody else start work. I was like, you are? So I can start work at the age of 15? She was like, yeah. She said, because you turn 16 the next day. And I was like, yeah, I do. She said, well, yeah, I got a job for you. She said, now, this is what I want you to, she said, I am in charge. I run the program. So I'm able to pull strings and do things like this. She said, but this is between me and you. You don't need to discuss this with nobody else. Do you understand me? I was like, yeah. She said, a lot of people have asked me to do what you asked me to do. She said, but I never did. She said, but you, she said, just something about you. She said, and I felt you when you said that you needed to work this job. She said, for you to be 15 years old, she said, honey, she said, you act like you almost 19 or 20. And I'll say, I say, a lot of people tell me that all the time. And she said, well, you do. She said, you carry yourself very well. She said, out of all those people that I passed out that application to, she said, you were the only one that said thank you. She said, you was the only one that said thank you. She said, that's why I had to look back at you, because you said thank you. She said, not one of those children or those adults said thank you. She said, you were the only one. She said, so I have a job for you. She said, would you like it? I said, yes, Miss Shirley, I would love it. I would love it. She said, I'm going to tell you about this job. She said, this job right here, she said, so many people want this job. She said, one, I'm going to tell you why. She said, because this job pays more than the summer job itself. She said, a lot of grown people want this job because they pay a lot more money and you can get overtime as well. I say, really? She said, yeah. She said, now, here is the tough part. She said, this job is on the west side of Chicago. She said, and you live on the south side of Chicago. She said, that's a long ways from your house. She said, I'm still going to offer it to you. She said, but I don't know how your mother is going to feel about you traveling that far away from home like that. She said, but you could definitely have this job if you want it like that. She said, I already did some research. I already found out how you can get there. She says 2 ways you can get there. She said, actually it's 3 ways. She said, you either can have your mom and your dad to take you, or you can take the bus, or you could take the bus and the train. She said, just up to you. She said, are you familiar with traveling on the buses and the L's? I said, yes, ma'am. I'm very familiar with the L's and the buses and stuff. She said, do you know a little bit about the west side? I said, yes, I do know about the west side. I have been over there several times, and she said, okay. She said, so where you live at, she said, an easy route would be for you is you just take that bus. It's the bus on the corner. Take that bus. She said, take that bus and ride that bus all the way to the west side. It's just one straight shot. She said, I think that'll be good for you. She said, just one straight shot. She said, because she said, and it lets you off right in front of the job. You can just get off the bus and walk right in the door. She said, now if you take the L in the bus, she said, you will have to walk up a couple of blocks. And she said, I don't want you to be doing that because it'll be early in the morning. She said, so that ride, that straight shot from your house and from in front of your door to in front of the job door would be a good one for you. Okay? I think that'll be the best route for you. And also, you need to be at work at 9 o'clock and you need to be there on time. Do you understand me? She said, because they don't play over there. If you're late more than once, you will get let go. Okay? And she says also a new supervisor out there. And I hear she is an asshole. She said, oops, sorry for my French. I say, no, you okay. She said, well, she is very nasty is what I've been hearing. Okay. She said, but I know you'll do well. Like that. She said, okay. She said, go ahead. She said, here's the address and everything. She said, you don't start until Monday. She said, so go ahead and talk to your mom and your dad and see what they think. She said, if your mom said it's not okay, your mom and dad say it's not okay, and that's too far for you, call me back and then I'll work on something else for you. And I said, okay. I say, Miss Shirley, thank you so much. You just such a blessing. I say, you are such a sweet lady. I say, I thank you so much. She said, no problem, baby. She said, just get over there and do what you got to do. And if you have any problems, call me. Okay? I said, I sure will. She said, I'm going to be checking up on you. I said, okay. She said, but I ain't worried about you. She said, but I check up on all the people that I like. And I was like, okay, Miss Shirley. I said, you have a good day. She said, you do too, baby. And she hung up. So I got off the phone. I was like, yes, mama, I got a job. Blah, blah, blah. So my mom was like, where you going to be working at? I say, mama, I said, this is what I got to tell you. I said, the job is on the west side. She said, the west side? She said, what you going to be at on the west side? She said, where on the west side? So I told my mama where it was at and everything. So my mama was like, go get the yellow page. You know, the yellow page is the phone book. Go get the yellow page. Let me see exactly where it's at. She said, I know exactly where it's at. She said, let me just make sure so I could tell you how to get there. I was like, Mama, I already know how to get there. So she said, well, let me check and see. She said, because I don't know about that. What time you got to be there? I said, I got to be there at 9 o'clock. She said, 9 o'clock in the morning? I said, yeah. She said, well, a lot of people be standing outside on that bus stop down there in the morning. She said, so you'll be okay standing there in the morning and get on the bus with those people because there'd be a lot of people out there. And I was like, okay. I said, so it's good. She said, well, let me keep looking. She said, okay. She said, so she said, for what I know, she said, you could take this bus right here and take it straight down. It's just going to be a one straight shot and you're going to get off and you're going to walk right into the door. I said, yeah, that's what she told me. She said, well, yep, that's the route you're going to take. Do not take the bus and don't take the L. Don't get on the L. Just take this route. This straight shot right here in front of the house. Get on the bus right here and take that straight shot straight down to the job. I was like, yeah. I say, so it's cool. She said, yeah, it's cool. She said, you'll be okay. She said, because I'll be watching you from the window when you get on the bus. And then there'll be a lot of people standing out there too. And then on your way home, it's a lot of people come home as well. So you'll be good. So yeah, you good. I was like, yes. She was like, wow. She said, I know exactly where you're going to be working at. I say, yep. She said, okay. So anyway, y'all, I'm just too excited. I'm too excited for this job. So first thing Monday morning come, baby. I was up, bright eyes and bushy tails, baby, getting my stuff together. Okay. Getting up, getting myself together, making sure I look straight, make sure I look good. And I was just happy. So I get up, get out, Get to the bus stop. My mama I stopped in my mama room, let her know that I was leaving. She said, yeah, I know. She said, here goes some money for your bus, and here goes some money for your lunch, and this, that, another. I was like, okay, cool. Like that. So I get my money, I truck on down to the bus stop. Get to the bus stop, and there's a lot of people standing there and get on this bus. So we all get on the bus. So I'm on the bus, I'm just riding on the bus. We ride. So I finally get to the job. I get to the job, so I come in, because you got to go through security to get to the job. So I get to the job, I come in, and as I'm coming in, y'all, I noticed this lady, this tall white lady standing in the doorway that I have to come in. She looking in the mirror, and she got her hands folded like this, and she's looking at me come down to the door. So I get to the door and I come in. I said, hello, and she was like, hello, like that. So she said, so I told her who I was. She said, okay, we was expecting you, like that. And she looked me up and down. She said, you 16? I was like, yeah, I'm 16. She said, ooh, she said, you big to be 16. She said, you make 2 of my 16-year-old. I have a 16-year-old too, and you make 2 of her. And I looked at her like, this bitch trying to be nasty. Because I'm gonna tell you, y'all, I had a bad mouth. I did. I had a bad mouth as a little girl. I knew how to defend for myself, and baby, and I would chew your ass up and spit out the pieces that I don't like. That's how tough I was, okay? So I looked at her, and I looked her up and down. I said, oh, really? Like that. And she looked at me like, bitch, who you is? Telling me that bitch, I know I'm a big girl to be 16 years old. I know that. Okay. Because everybody thought that me being 16, everybody thought I was like 17, 18, 19, 20, y'all. People always thought I was older than what I was, but I was only 16 because the way I was built up as a young girl growing up. I always been a curvy girl. Okay. So anyway, I get on in there, and she said, well, come on, follow me. She said, because you're going to be training, Carlos going to be training you. And I was like, okay. So I get in there, and it's like a whole bunch of machines, and you got people at the machines, and they running these machines. And on this side, you got a bunch of people sitting at a table, and they like, running a job, doing a job, but they not running machines. So she was like, well, you'll be sitting here, and here's Carlos. Carlos, this is a new person. You need to train her. And Carlos was like, looked at her ass like, okay. So I sat down next to Carlos. He was like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, and I told him my name, and he was like, that's cool. He's like, how old are you? I'm like 16. He was like, well, I'm 17. And I was like, okay, cool. He said, okay. He said, how you found out about this job? I said, through the summer job program. He said, me too. He said, I've been working here since I was 16. He said, now I'm 17, and they wanted me back this year, so I came back. He was like, the pay is pretty good. He said, they pay you pretty good. He said, you can get a little overtime sometimes on the weekend, or even during the day, weekday, they give you overtime. He said, you're gonna like it here. He said, a lot of people want to be in this spot that you're sitting in right now, especially the adults. I was like, for real? He said, yeah, and I'm going to tell you why. Like that. And I was like, okay. So, y'all, Carlos began to tell me what I needed to do and how I need to do it. He said, first of all, let me tell you something. He said, the supervisor we got, she's a bitch. He said, she don't like me because she was trying to flirt with me. And I was saying, how do you flirt with a 17-year-old? And he said, I had to shut her ass down. He said, because I'm only 17 years old. I don't want no old woman in my face. And I was like, damn. He was like, yeah. He said, since I shut her down, she's been rude to me ever since. Now, man, I say, damn, but you 17. Why is she upset with you because you turned her down? He said, I don't know what's up with that lady. He said, but I will get my mom and my dad to come up here on her ass. And I was like, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. He said, do not trust her. Don't talk to her. You got something to say to her, just say what you got to say and keep going, moving. Don't try to have no conversation with her or anything, because she's very rude. And I said, yes, she is very rude. I said, she just told me that, dang, you are so big. You bigger than her. You bigger than, you 16. You are so big. You could make 2 of my 16-year-old. I got a 16-year-old and you'll make 2 of us. He said, see, that's the bitch shit that she does. He said, what you say? I said, I didn't say anything. I just looked at her, up and down and, like, yeah, I'm 16. You know what I'm saying? He said, well, you'll learn. You'll have to put her in her place, because she's one of those people that you have to put in a place. And I'm like, well, I know my mama don't play that shit. You don't disrespect no grown up. You come tell her. So that's the way I was raised. So anyway, y'all. He get to telling me about the job. He was like, on this side right here, this the machine. It does everything. All they doing is just taking shit out, putting it where they need to go. He said, everybody over here are employees. He said, everybody on this side are summer jobs. Okay? He said, this is where all the summer job people sit at. And these people over here is where the employees that work for this company. And I would say, okay. He said, you see these 2 ladies right here, these 2 old ladies right here? He said, they're real good people. They're real sweet ladies. They're so nice and kind. He said, even that guy around the corner, that guy, that all of those are cool people. Okay. He said, you want to, he said, I don't care about, he said, one thing you got to know, you cannot be too friendly on no job. He said, just do your work and keep it moving. He said, but these people over here are really cool people, okay? And they worked it for the company, all right? He said, now the bitch right behind you, he said, don't trust her. He said, because that's her, the supervisor's best friend. Best friend. He said, do not trust her at all. Don't say shit to her. He said, now these 3 ladies on the side of her right here, he said, they don't talk to nobody. He said, and that's good. So don't fuck with them either. And I was like, okay, cool. He said, everybody on our side where we working at, he said, every last one of these motherfuckers is lazy. Y'all, if y'all got some kids in here, go ahead and get your kids out right now. Okay? And if you're sensitive, go ahead and leave right now, because it's going to be a little cussing, because that's how it went. He said, everybody on this side right here where we work at, he said, everybody over here lazy. He said, don't nobody want to help. They don't want to help you with your work, and they don't want you to help them with theirs. He said, so you over here by yourself. He said, because these some lazy motherfuckers over here. Okay? He said, okay. He said, now, let me explain to you about this job. He said, in this job, he said, when you come through that door, he said, grab you 2 black gloves and grab you the safety gloves. Put those 2 black gloves on. Soon as you get to your desk, put your gloves on. Do not take your gloves off. Sorry, y'all. All while you at this job, keep your gloves on. Now, when you go to the restroom and you go outside for break, that's a different thing. You could take them off. He said, but when you are in here, back here, keep your gloves on, because it is a safety. Safety. You must. He said, a lot of people just wear 1 glove. He said, but I and you, we're going to wear 2 gloves, and then 2 black gloves, and then we're going to put on the 3rd gloves as well. Okay? Make sure you always keep your gloves on. And I was like, okay. He said, that being said, he said, because in this mail that comes in here, there be human feces, there be dog feces, there be cat feces, there be women bloody Kotex. He said, it be women pads in this motherfucker. He said, it be letters that say they're gonna blow this motherfucker up. He says it be needles in here, and he said it be broken glass. He said it be all type of shit that come through these letters on this side that we work on and that side that they work on. Do you understand me? I was like, yes. He said it is very important that you wear your gloves at all times. He said the same shit come over here on our end as well. He said don't too much of it come over here where we are at. It mostly comes over there on their end because they run the machine. Okay? He said, now since I've been here, I have seen cat shit dog shit. He said, I also seen a couple of pads in here as well. I also read a couple of letters that said is they're going to blow this motherfucker up. He said, anytime you get a letter that got glass, cat shit, he said, the good thing about us over here, we feel shit before we pick it up. We can feel it. We can see shit in here before we pick up our letters. Them over there, they can't see anything because theirs is going through the machine like that. He said that's the good thing about us, because if you pick up something over here, you can automatically shake it, you can hear, or you can kind of touch it and it feel fucked up. If it feel fucked up to you, put it in this can right here. This is a hazard can. The red can is a hazard can for anything that you're not sure. Put it in here. He said, but the black can is for all the letters, the envelopes, paper and shit. You put it in that one. And I was like, okay. He said, now I done told you about all the bad shit that's coming through this job. Okay, be careful and stay safe. I was like, damn. Okay, like that. So I started getting just a little bit nervous. He said, now I'm about to tell you why a lot of people want this job. And I was like, why? He said, blank checks come through here. He said, blank money order comes through here, and cash money come through here. Okay? He said, so let me explain to you this. He said, the blank checks and the money orders, he said, don't try to fuck with them. Don't put them in your pocket. Don't try to write your name, sign it, and none of that shit. He said, put the blank checks and the blank money order right here in this bin right here. Okay? He said, now the money. He said, the money, it be cash money come through here. He say, I have heard people say they have got $1,000 out of here. I heard people say they got $2,000 or $3,000 out of here. He say, cash money comes through here, and it cannot be counted. And he said, he said, even if it comes in an envelope and it got the person name, the job name, and all of that type of shit, he said, it does not matter. You cannot trace money. You can only trace checks and money orders. He said, cash money cannot be traced. I don't care what is in the envelope. It cannot be traced. He said, that's why a lot of people wants to be over here at this job. And I was like, damn, for real? He was like, yeah. He said, now, I'm going to tell you something. He said, over here where we at, cash money come through here as well. Okay? Cash money come through this whole plant. And he said another thing. There is no cameras. There's no cameras in this facility where we at, in this room where we at. He said, now outside this door, there's cameras everywhere. But in here, no cameras at all. Okay? So he said, everybody in here takes that money. They take the money. He said, I'm not telling you that that's a good thing. And he said, I'm sure in the hell ain't going to tell you it's a bad thing. It's up to you if you want to take that money. He said, because the money is not counted for. He said, if you don't take the money and you take it and give it to the supervisor, she's not going to turn it in. She's going to take it and put it in her pocket because the money is not traceable. It's cash money. He said, that supervisor we got don't play with no full debt. She even got some money and put it in her pocket as well. She said, everybody in here then put money in their pocket. He said, I'm going to show you when and how they do it. He said, you hear the machine running? The machine. He said, now when that machine stop and you don't hear nobody say anything, he said, turn around and look and see what they doing. Okay? He said, if the machine going and it stopped and somebody said, oh, this is dirty, they shouldn't do this, this is so messed up, why would they do some shit like that? That means it was something bad came in that motherfucker. He said, if that machine stopped and you don't hear nobody say anything, he said, turn around and look, because they didn't got that money and roll it up and put it in their pocket. He said, just remember that. You hear me? I was like, yeah, I got it. He said, I'm never telling you to take anything in here like that. And so I said, have you ever took any money out of here? He said, yes, I have. He said, what I look like giving it to the supervisor and all she gonna do is put it in her pocket. And I'm like, for real? He said, yeah. He said, but the thing to do is to turn it into, give it to the supervisor. We supposed to. He said, but don't nobody back here get that cash money to nobody because there's nowhere to be traced. He said, you got people been working here for 30 and 40 some years and they get that money and put it in their pocket. He said, watch what I tell you. So I hear the machine going, and it stopped. I ain't hear anything. He said, now turn to your right and look over your shoulder. So I turned to my right, look at my shoulder. Sure the fuck did. They took that money out and rolled it up and stuck it in their pocket. Then the machine going again, and it stopped again. I didn't hear anybody say anything. He said, now turn to your left. I turned to my left, and there another lady, she picked the money up and she put it in her pocket too. He said, that's money they putting in their pocket. He said, money come through here all the time. He said, I don't be knowing who does that. Put cash money in here. A lot of time, the cash money just be in here and there don't be no name, no paper, no nothing in it. You know, nothing to say who it come from, where it come from. The envelope be no address or nothing on the envelope, no return address, nothing on there. He said, I don't know who does this, but whoever doing it, they do it a lot. A lot of freestyle money comes in here. Okay? And I was like, wow. For real? He was like, yeah. He said, it's up to you, though. He said, I'm going to never tell you to take anything. I said, no, because my mom was strict with that. My mom always raised me, if you lie, you are stealing, you steal, you a lie. And I stand on that. I wouldn't take nothing from nobody. He said, yeah, you say that now. He said, because I said the same thing, too. And he said, I was raised like that, too. He said, but everybody in here take money out of here. I was like, damn, well, who would do that? He said, I don't know. I said, you know what? I said, that is so crazy. He said, yes, it is. And the machine stopped. He said, now look. He said, look. He said, turn your seat around behind you. That's the supervisor, that's friend. Look at her. I turned around behind me, y'all, and looked down. She done rolled up some money and put it in her purse. Okay? He said, now you see what I'm talking about? Now them two best friends. You know, I was like, wow. He said, so if the supervisor best friend is in here stealing money, he said, well, what the hell it is? Who else, you know, what? You know, and I was like, damn, for real, like that. He was like, yeah. He said, so, he said, the supervisor friend, he said, I'm going to tell you something else about her ass. Like I told you, don't trust her, don't talk to her, don't have shit to do with her. He said, what she does, she get done with her work way before everybody in here. We think the supervisor give her less work than everybody else because she is the type of bitch, when she get done, she get up and start walking around and asking people, can she empty their garbage for them? Like that. And I was like, what? He said, yeah, she asks people, can they empty their garbage? So everybody be like, cool, you can take my garbage. You can take my garbage. She'll walk around and say, can I take your garbage for you? And you just tell her, yeah. If you want her to take your garbage, you tell her, yeah. If you don't want her to take your garbage, you don't have to. But she takes everybody garbage back here, okay? Okay? I was like, okay, cool. He said, okay. He said, if I could think of something else, he said, I'll let you know. Like that. He said, so this is your work right here. All you doing is open it up, take the paper out, put the envelope in the garbage. Open up, take the paper out, put it in the garbage. Okay. He said, if you see anything with blank address, with no return address, none of that stuff, he said, and it's a paper in there, he said, just take the paper out and put it up here, and then take the envelope and put it in the garbage. He said, you got that? I was like, yeah. He said, that's all you got to do. He said, you got a timely fashion. You have to be done on time. You cannot be late with your work. He said, we are here from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Everything needs to be done, finished, on the shelf before 5 minutes before 3. So anyway, we working, y'all. We working and everything. So I get through that day. That day is over with. So I get ready to walk out the door. So Carlos like, hold up, wait on me. He said, well, which way you go? I was like, I catch this bus right here. He was like, okay. He said, where you live at? I said, I live on the south side. I said, where you live up? He said, I live up north. And I'm like, okay, cool. He said, well, I catch the bus across the street. And I said, well, I catch this bus. He was like, okay. He said, well, me and you could be walking, home. We could walk to the bus stop together like that. I said, good. I said, that's cool. He said, what time he said, this the bus you come to work in the morning with? I said, yeah, I catch this bus in the morning as well, that way, going the other way. He was like, okay, cool. He said, well, here, take my phone number down. He said, so when we get ready to leave out in the morning, when I leave out in the morning, you leave out in the morning, we could just say, hey, we leaving out, and then we could meet up with each other then, in the morning as well. And I was like, okay, that's cool, Carlos, cool. So I gave him my number, he gave me his number, and he crossed the street, and I got ready to get on my bus, and he waved before he got on the bus, and I waved, and that was that. So I go to the crib, get to the crib, tell my mama all about the job and shit and everything. So the next day, go to work and shit. So my supervisor, she came up, she was like, well, I don't know if Carlos told you, but back here we wear all black. You need a black t-shirt and black jeans, okay? That's what we wear back here, okay? Maybe he didn't tell you because I see you came back here with other clothes on besides black t-shirt and black jeans. I said, well, no, Carlos didn't tell me about it. I said, okay, I'll get that. Like that. She said, okay. And she looked at me, and I was like, okay, like, damn, what is the issue with this grown ass motherfucker? I am a child. So anyway, I come back to work, y'all. It's my birthday. I didn't tell them nothing. I didn't let them know that it was my birthday. I didn't want nobody to know that it was my birthday. I just kept my mouth closed. I just sat there the whole day. Nobody knew that it was my birthday at all at that job, okay? It was time to go to work, okay? So I'm in there, we working and shit, and Carlos, he's sitting next to me. So the lady called, and the supervisor called Carlos in the office. So Carlos, he come back out. He kind of upset. I'm like, what? He said, I can't stand this bitch. She gonna tell me that one of my papers wasn't filled out right. He said, I know damn well my paper was filled out right. He said, I've been doing this job for a whole year now. I know exactly how to do this shit. He said, she just don't like me. He said, the other supervisor was cool as hell. She was the most nicest person in the world. He said, when we get this bitch right here, she really be trying to push her weight around to the summer job people. He said, but she don't scare me. And I was like, what? He said, yeah, because she trying to make it seem like I done messed up. He said, I know damn well I didn't mess up nothing. Like that. And I was like, okay. I said, but damn, she can't look at it as the fact of the matter that you was training me. He said, no, she don't look at shit like that. She an evil bitch. Like that. And he said, the bitch right behind you too, she a nasty bitch too. And I was like, what? He said, I can't stand neither one of their asses. I was like, oh, okay. So we working and shit. We working. So the machine going, pop, it stopped. Then I look ahead, motherfuckers putting them the little lady, them two little ladies, shit. They both then got them some shit and stuck it in a t-shirt. And I was like, ooh, like that. He said, I told you. He said, I told you that these people ain't, you just don't know. Everybody sticks shit in their pocket around here because it can't not be counted. He said, you just better not fuck with those checks and those money orders because your ass will go to jail. Okay? And I was like, damn, for real? He was like, yeah. So we working, and it's almost time so the day going on, so it's almost time for us to go home. So he nudged me. Like that, nudged me, and he had an envelope and he opened it up, and then I looked and I was like, whoa, like that. And he was like, I told you. So he took the money out, folded up, and stuck it in his pocket, threw the paper in the garbage can. I was like, damn, like that. And so we finished up our work. We got ready to leave. We walking out the door and shit. And we walking out the door. We getting to the bus stop. He pulled the money out and he counted. It. He was like $100. He was like, here, take this 20. I was like, no, I don't want that 20 Carlos. I'm good. I don't want that 20 Carlos. He said, girl, take this $20. He said it can help you get you some lunch and, help you can get a little something with this $20. I said, no, Carlos, I'm cool. I don't want it. I don't want it. He said, let me tell you something. He said, if you get any money in that machine, he said, you better share it with me. Okay? I was like, Carlos, I said, I just don't know about that, putting my hands on something that don't belong to me. My mama always taught me to never take shit that don't belong to me. I just cannot be a thief. And he was like, well, he said, you will learn. He said, you still young. He said, but you will learn. And I was like, no, because my mama don't play. My mama would break my fingers if she found out I done took something I ain't got no business taking. He's like, yeah, I understand. He said, my mama will too. Like that. So he was like, so you don't want the 20? I was like, no, Carlos, thank you anyway. He said, all right. He said, maybe next time. Like that. And I was like, okay, see you, Carlos. He's like, all right, see you later. So he jump on the bus. I get on the bus. So we go home. So the next day come. We at work again. We working this shit. We working. So the machine, so everybody working. So the machine going ching. I mean, the machine going ching, ching, ching. Just stop. Ching, ching. You ain't hearing nobody saying shit. I mean, the machine stopping it. And every time somebody machine stop, I look, motherfuckers taking shit, rolling up. I look down here, motherfucker rolling up, putting it in the looking, the motherfucker rolling and looking and shit. I'm like, damn, these motherfuckers must be sending money up in this motherfucker left and right. Like, who the hell is sending cash money through this motherfucker? Mind you, y'all, let me tell you something. I work for a very, very known company. I'm going to tell y'all this. This company I work for, you needed this company. You got to have this company living in Chicago. Okay? And it's a must that you have this company. A lot of people didn't have it, but majority of all the people that live in Chicago uses this company every day of their life. Okay? That's all I'm going to tell you. The company, even though it's been decades and decades and decades ago, but I'm still not going to tell you the name of the company that I work for. So anyway, like I said, the machines is going off. You hear maybe one or two. Damn, that's fucked up. They saw something like this. This is so gross. This is so nasty. You'll hear that every now and again. But other than that, you never hear shit when the machines stop. It's always quiet. Okay? So I'm sitting next to this other guy. Because it's Carlos, me, and another guy. So I'm sitting next to him and I'm doing my work and shit. And I looked over there at him and shit. He opened up a letter, and there was some money in it. He politely pulled that shit out with no shame in his game, fold that shit up and put it in his coat pocket, okay? With no problem. Then took the paper and threw all the shit in the garbage. And I was like, damn. Then the girl crossed for me. I see her look around and shit, and she take the money out of her envelope. You can't tell how much the money is, but you know it's money. She took the money out the envelope and she balled it up and put it in her jacket. And Carlos nudged me and he looked at me and I looked at him and he said, let me know. I was like, oh, yeah, I saw that. Like that. So anyway, every day, just a different day, the same thing. So, like I said, the lady is friends with the supervisor. She comes and pick up all the garbage. So she getting up doing this every day, y'all, picking up garbage. So she'll come up to me, honey, would you like for me to take your garbage? I'm like, sure, you could take it. So she'll empty my garbage. Carlos, do you want me to take your garbage? Carlos like, yeah, get it. Then she'll go down and ask the other lady, you want me to take your garbage? Yeah, get it. They get it. She'll come back up, go on the other side. You want me to take your garbage? The two old ladies that introduced themselves to me and the guy introduced themselves to me. She take them garbage. They're like, girl, yeah, get that garbage. Like that. So she walks around and take garbage from everybody. You guys, you understand me? Everybody. Okay? So, every day, this is what's going on in this job. I have seen so many people was pocketing money. Okay? They was put that money in their pocket and they didn't even give a damn because imagine you, there's no cameras back there. There's no cameras back there. So you're able to take that cash money like that. Okay. So I'm sitting there, just working, and I'm hearing the machine stop, click, stop. I'm just hearing it stop. And this is every day. You hear this shit every day. The machine stop. You either hear, oh, this is gross, or you hear quiet. Oh, you son of a bitch. Look at that. I could have cut myself. You hear that shit. You can just hear all type of things. Now, what nasty bitch put this pad in here? You hear that. You hear that. You hear that, and you hear silent. It just be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like that. So this is just going on every day I'm working there, y'all. So now I'm in there. It's about a month. Okay. So when you work in the summer job, you get 2 months and a week of work. You work your summer job for 2 months and a week. Okay. Like that. So every day, so it's like a month now I'm in there. So I done got the hang of the job. I know the job. I know everything yet. I know our department. I know all the other departments outside of my department. So I'm the hang of everything. I know everything up in here now. So I'm doing my shit now. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, me and Carlos was sitting down, and we was working, and then all of a sudden he had got some money. Okay, so he opened it up, and he was like, he nudged me like, and I was like, what? And I looked down, y'all. He flicked it in the envelope. He flicked it like that. I was like, damn. He was like, and he hurried up, put it down, and he pulled it out, rolled it up because it was kind of thick. He rolled it up, and he took the paper and he threw it in the garbage can. And I was like, damn, like that. And he stuffed the shit in his pocket. So the day ended. We get ready to get out of there. We walking out the door. We get down, walking towards the bus, and Carlos took the money out and he began to count it. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. I was like, $500? He's like, $500. He say, man, all I want to do is hit the jackpot. He said, I want to just hit the jackpot. He said, it's $500 is cool. He said, but I just want to hit the jackpot. And I was like, damn. Like that. I say, $500? He said, yeah. I said, you ain't worried about nobody asking about it? He said, how could they? How could they? They cannot trace this money. It is cash money. Who sends cash money through the mailbox? Like that. He said, girl, he said, you done been here long enough. You see how this shit goes. He said, now don't keep asking me questions and shit. He said, either you catch the money. I already told you, if you find some money, don't you give it to that bitch. You better give it to me. You understand me? And I was like, yeah, I guess, Carlos. And he said, he peeled me off $60. He's like, fly, here. And I was like, no, Carlos. He said, yeah. You gonna take it. I was like, Carlos, I do not want that money. I'm good. He said, oh yeah, you do. He was like, well, my bus coming and your bus coming. Here, take this money, girl. I'm like, no, Carlos. He said, oh, you gonna take it. He rolled it up and stuffed it down in my shirt and ran across the street. I'm like, Carlos, come and get this money. Come get this. Come and get it, Carlos. No. I didn't say come and get the money. I was like, Carlos, no, Carlos, no. I'm cool. He's like, see ya. And I was like, oh, so I get on the bus and shit, and I'm riding. I'm like, this motherfucker that gave me some money. I don't want no money. You know what I mean? So anyway, child, I ended up keeping the little $60 in my pocket, baby. Got off the bus, baby. Went up there and got my mama, me, my little brother, and my stepfather. Got us all some gyro sandwiches, baby, with fries, baby, with extra tartar, with extra tzatziki sauce, and a drink. I got all of something to eat, and I got off and I stopped at the kid store. Got me and my little brother and my mama. Got her little Suzy Q and her little stuff that she like. My mama love her some Suzy Q and some butter pecan ice cream, baby, and black walnut. So I got my mama a Suzy Q, black walnut, and butter pecan ice cream. I got me and my little brother some little candy, tools and fruits and stuff like that. And I got us all some dinner, okay? So I get off, I get all that, and I go to the crib. I come in, my mom was like, what you got? I'm like, I got us something to eat. I got you some ice cream. She was like, oh, that's nice of you. She say, where you get money from? I was like, I had a few dollars. I had a few dollars. She was like, oh, okay. She said, well, thank you. That was nice of you. She said, at least I ain't got to cook. And I was like, okay. So, y'all, I'm in my room. I'm just chilling. I'm just eating my food and shit. Because, you know, I really didn't know too many people on that south side at that time. I knew a few people, but not a lot of people. So, that was on a Friday. So I'm in the crib chilling. I had one little buddy that I hang out with every now and then. And she called me. She was like, girl, we getting ready to go. She said, we getting ready to go. It's going to be a picnic tomorrow, Saturday night. It's going to be a picnic tomorrow, Saturday morning. She said, you should come. And I'm like, what? She said, yeah. She said, my boyfriend going to come and he going to bring his little brother. So I'm going to introduce you to his little brother. And I was like, oh, okay. I said, so what we doing? She said, we're going to be going to the beach and we're going to be barbecuing and stuff. She said, you should come, you know. She said, get you a bathing suit, and you know, and she said, get you a bathing suit, and she said, everybody gonna be having on red, so get you a red outfit and you gonna come and hang out with us tomorrow. And I was like, girl, for real? She was like, yeah. So I said, okay, cool. I said, what time I need to be ready? She said, well, be ready at 11 o'clock because I'm gonna be there, pick you up at 11. I said, cool. So y'all, I'm just sitting around, I'm chilling and shit. And so I had looked up and seen that I didn't have anything to wear. And I had spent all the little money that I had got from Carlos because it was almost gone. I had probably at least about $20, $25 left. It was almost gone. So I was like, called her back. I'm like, hey, I don't want to go. She was like, you're not going to go? I said, no, I don't want to go. I said, maybe next time. She said, okay, cool. She said, because we're going to be probably doing something all this summer, you know, on the weekend. I said, okay, cool. She said, all right then. So I hung up the phone talking to her and shit. So I just sat around the whole weekend doing nothing. So Monday go back to work. Come in and shit. Everybody say, hey. So I go and sit down. So my supervisor, she called me in her office, and I'm like, okay, what does she want? So she called me in her office and shit, and she tells me that somebody told her that I don't like emptying my garbage. I don't never like emptying my garbage. I always wait on her friend to pick up my garbage for her, and I'm being lazy and don't want to go empty my trash. And I'm like, what the fuck? I said, who told you that shit? You know, I didn't say it like that. I said, well, who said that? She said, well, don't never mind who told me this. I just found out that you never like to empty your own trash. Listen here, you do not have a housekeeper around here. You need to get your own garbage and put it away. And I was like, well, I said, if you're talking about your friend, I said, your friend, oh, who said she was my friend? Who said she was my friend? I said, whatever. I hear you. I see you and her talking a lot, so I just assumed that she was your buddy, whatever the case may be. And she was looked at me. I said, yes. I said, whatever the case may be. I said, first of all, I have never asked her to pick my trash up. She always come and ask me, can she pick my trash up? And not only me, but everybody in this place. I said, so why am I being targeted because of the trash? Like that. I said, well, no problem. She don't have to worry about picking up my trash again. Like that. She said, well, I'm just giving you a forewarning. Don't let that happen no more. I say, no problem. So now, y'all, I done got a little beef now because you just fucking with me for on the strength of, and you got me fucked up, lady. So anyway, I go on, and shit. I go out the door and shit. So I go out the door and I go sit down. Carlos said, what's wrong with you? I said, this bitch done told this lady that told the supervisor that I don't like empty my motherfucking garbage, that I wait on her to empty my trash. He said, that's bullshit. He said, because everybody in here use this bitch empty everybody's trash can. You ain't the only one that using it, empty her trash can like that. And I was like, yeah, I know. Like that. I said, Carlos, don't be loud because I don't want nobody to hear what we're talking about. He said, no, that's just bullshit. He said, no, I ain't gonna talk loud. He said, but that's bullshit. He said, this bitch check everybody garbage can. He said, this bitch just out to fuck with you. He said, be careful. He said, because now she's picking at you as well. And I was like, yeah. He said, just be careful. I said, okay. He said, because this is some dumb shit. He said, this bitch do this all the time. Take everybody garbage up. So I said, okay, cool. So me and Carlos, we working this shit, and Carlos just mad. He said, I'm just tired of this shit. He said, I just hope I hit a jackpot, and then I'm going to get the fuck up out of here. He said, all I want to do is hit a jackpot, and then I'm going to be out of this motherfucker. like that. And then I was like, yeah, okay. So anyway, me and Carlos, we working and shit. We working. So at the end of the day, the supervisor called Carlos in the office. And I'm like, what the fuck up with Carlos? Like that. So Carlos, he came back. He didn't say anything. He just grabbed his jacket. I'm like, Carlos, where you going? Where you going? Everybody like, Carlos, where you going? Where you going? Carlos, where you going? He was like, I'll be back, like that. So he left. So I'm sitting, I'm waiting. I'm like, it's almost time for us to go home and shit. And I'm like, well, Carlos said he ain't came back yet. So Carlos didn't come back. So I was like, okay. So I get ready. I walk to the bus stop. I get on the bus and shit. I'm looking, thinking I'm going to see Carlos. Carlos nowhere to be found. So anyway, I go home. The next day I come to work. So I'm sitting there. I'm waiting on Carlos to come in. It's 9 o'clock. Carlos still ain't came in. So I'm just sitting there and I'm working. Mind you, y'all, we all got our work. So Carlos' work is sitting on his desk and I'm working on my work. So I'm working on my work and shit. I'm doing my work and I'm like, well, okay, maybe Carlos will come in. You know, maybe he'll come in later. So I'm working and shit. And I'm turning around. I'm looking and shit. Carlos still ain't came in. So the bitch in the back, the supervisor friend, she come up to me. She was like, honey, I didn't tell her that I was emptying your garbage. I did not tell her. So you don't have to act like you got an attitude with me. I was like, girl, I'm not even thinking about you. I said, what are you talking about? I said, you did tell her that I didn't pick up my garbage and shit like that you always picking my garbage up. And everybody was like, what? She did what? She was like, you pick up everybody was like, you pick up everybody garbage can. Why you tripping on her? You did go back and tell the supervisor that shit. We found out yesterday. You did go back and tell the supervisor that shit. You did. Like that. And she was like, no, I didn't. I did not say that. So it calmed down. Nobody else said anything. So we working, I'm steady looking. Carlos still ain't here. Goddamn, what's up? So I took it as she got rid of Carlos because he still didn't show up to work. And one thing about Carlos, he come to work because Carlos was saving his money to get himself a new car. He did not come in that door. So I'm already mad because Carlos not here. Then this bitch gonna call herself trying to check me. Just because I'm 16 years old, bitch, don't mean that you can get away with shit, because I would give it to your ass in the raw. I don't play. Okay? I will forget everything that my mama always raised me to taught me. My mama always taught me to be respectful to my adults, to adults. My mom, I grew up in a household that kids are to be seen and not heard. I grew up like that. I grew up, if you lie, you will steal, and if you steal, you will lie. Okay, that's how I was raised in my house. And my mama believed what grown adults says over kids. A kid, my mama think that kids will lie on a grown adult, but my mama had to realize that grown adults lie on kids. Okay. I grew up in a household like that. So I kind of held my tongue back. But then I gave it to her in a little bit too. Okay. So I'm working. I'm doing my work and shit. So I'm just trying to just push through my day. Okay. So this girl. So I'm sitting there. Carlos worked sitting on my on his desk. It's still early in the morning. Ain't nobody came down there to get none of this work. None of his work. All his work is sitting there. So I'm like, you gonna take some of Carlos' work? No, I'm not taking none of Carlos' work. And I was like, damn, so you ain't gonna take none of it? No, I'm not taking none of Carlos' work. I'm not taking none of Carlos' work either. And I was like, this is fucked up. So nobody wanted to take Carlos' work, y'all. So that means that I had to do my work and Carlos' work. Okay? I got big stacks of motherfucking envelopes like this. Carlos got big stacks of envelopes as well. So I began to just go fast. Whack. I end up breaking down one of my bungles letters. Jumped on, got his got my other ones, did that real quick. Rack. Stacked all my shit at the top. So I'm looking like, you sure you don't want to take some of Carlos' work? Because that'll help me. Honey, no, I'm not taking none of your Carlos' work. It's Friday. I'm getting ready to get out of here. Ain't nobody finna be stuck here on Friday doing nothing. And I was like, okay. So I end up pushing my shit to the front, because my time was valuable. Because if I would have got up and stacked all my shit and put on the shelf and put it in the computer, I'm going to be wasting time. So I say just put everything to the side and scoot it over to the side and grab Carlos shit. So I grabbed Carlos shit and put it on my desk and put my shit on Carlos' desk. So I'm in there, I'm working. Fly. I'm working. I'm looking at the clock and shit. It's almost like 1:30, it's almost 2 o'clock. So I'm whack. I'm working because I gotta we get off at 3. So I'm working hard. Five. So I break that stack of envelopes down, put it in the tray, and put the thing over it and everything so I could put it in the computer. So then I began to get the other one. So all while I'm working, y'all, I'm mad because this bitch then came at me. The motherfucking supervisor then got at me about this shit. And then this bitch the next day gonna come in my face about this shit right here, right? So I'm just sitting there. So I'm working on Carlos shit. The supervisor come out of her office and she called me. And I'm like, bitch, you calling me at the wrong time. I don't need to be trying to talk to you. I'm trying to get this shit done because this shit gonna fall on my lap, right? So I sit down and shit, and she was like, well, I don't like the way you I just heard everything that just went on. It just came back to me what just went on and how you got into it with what I don't know the bitch name. Just say her name was Keisha. I just heard that you got into it with Keisha, a white girl named Keisha, but hell, it's what it is. But then you got into it with Keisha, and I didn't like the way you talked to Keisha and this, that, and other. Here, whatever goes on in this office is between me and you. You do not go back and report, tell nothing to nobody about what I say to you back here in this office. It's between me and you. Do you understand that? And I was like, yeah. I said, but you know, hey, what came out came up. What came up came out. She was like, well, you just can't do that anymore. You understand me? And I was like, yeah. You know, and so I walked out, went in the room and shit. So I'm looking at the clock, y'all. It's about 2:15. I sit down. I began to open up Carlos' letter. Whack. I open up another one. Whack. So it was this really big, thick envelope. It was so thick. When I looked at it, y'all, it didn't have no return address or anything on it. So I opened it up just a little bit. And when I looked at it, I said, what dumb motherfucker didn't set up here and put a bunch of ripped up magazine in an envelope? So I just tossed it to the side, right? So I start opening up other letters. Something say, get that letter and open it all the way up. And I'm like, it ain't nothing but a bunch of, you know, magazines. So I'm steadily opening up shit. Something said, get that letter and open it all the way up. So y'all, I was like, okay. So I get the letter, y'all. Mind you, the letter is this thick. It's about this thick, y'all. The letter is. So I get it, y'all. I open it all the way up. Remind you, this is Carlos' work. I'm doing his work. I open up the letter, y'all. I open it up. And I looked in it. And I shut it. And the guy next to me, he looked at me. And turned back around. I said, oh, shit. Oh, shit. I'm looking at everybody in the room. I'm like, oh, shit. Y'all, it was an envelope full of $20 bills. It was nothing but $20 bills, y'all. So I grab it again and I open it up and I noticed that it was a little white piece of paper in it. And the white paper, I open it up and it read, I hope this will do you some justice. And I said, what? I read it again. It said, I hope this do you some justice. And I fold the goddamn paper back up and put it in the goddamn envelope and shit with all the 20s and shit, and stuffed the envelope under some other mail and shit. And then I began to open up mail. So as I'm thinking, I'm like, ooh, you got a big decision right now. Do you want to take this money, or you want to leave it here, or give it to the supervisor? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? You gonna keep this money, or you gonna give it to the supervisor? So I'm shaking and I'm opening the letter and I'm like, ooh, I'm going in on myself in my mind. Like, should I take it or should I give it to the supervisor? Should I take it, give it to the supervisor? So I looked up at the clock, y'all. It's about at least 10 or 15 minutes till it's time for us to go home. So I'm really working it. So I'm just like, stop what you doing. Take that motherfucking letter and put it in the garbage can and cover it up with the letters, with the other trash. So y'all, when nobody was looking, I took the envelope. The envelope was so motherfucking thick, I took it and dropped it in the garbage can, and I covered it up with the paper. So I'm sitting there, I'm still saying, what you gonna do? You gonna take it or you gonna give it to the supervisor? You gonna take it or give it to the supervisor? So I'm steadily working and shit, y'all. So I still got a nice stack of papers, envelopes to open. It's still a lot that I had to open. So I look up, y'all, it's almost 3 o'clock. So here come the bitch come. Now you done started all this shit. You steadily getting up and asking people to empty their garbage, right? So here she come. She walking. Can I take your garbage, honey? Can I take your garbage? The boy was like, yeah. Can I take your garbage? Yeah. So she get to me. She say, can I take your garbage? I say, no, you cannot take my garbage. I said, all of this stuff that I went through today, I said, no, don't touch my garbage. I'm good. I'll take my own garbage. I say, thank you anyway. Oh, honey, it's no problem with me. I'm over it. I don't mind taking your garbage. I said, well, if you didn't mind taking my garbage, why did you go back and tell the supervisor? Mind you, the supervisor told me not to say nothing to her because whatever we talked about was behind his office. But I didn't give a fuck. I said, if you would have never told the supervisor, I wouldn't have a problem with you taking my garbage. I said, but since you told the supervisor that I don't like to pick my garbage up, that I always wait on you to take my garbage can for me. So the answer is no. I will take my own garbage. Thank you anyway. And have a good day. Oh. So everybody was like, damn, is that what really happened? Is that what really happened? That's what she did. So everybody started all over again, getting upset. Everybody going on. This bitch take everybody garbage. She just messing with the little pretty young lady. She just messing with pretty young lady. That just messed up. This, that, and that. So everybody going off. So the bell ring. Because we got this thing to let you know it's time to punch out on the time clock. So it rings. So I'm still stuck with envelopes. So and shit. So everybody hurry up and leave because it's Friday. Everybody hurry up and getting the fuck up out of there. They hurry up and getting out of there. And then they was like, honey, you need help? I said, no, I'm good. I don't need no help. Honey, you need help. So all while, y'all, I'm trying to get my shit together. I'm thinking, what I'm going to do. Okay? I had already made up my mind, y'all. I done the unbelievable. I made up my mind to take that money. I sure did. I made up my mind to take that money, okay? Yes, I did. And I know my mama always said, if you're a liar, you're a thief, and you're a thief, you're a liar, damn it. And I knew it, okay? I knew it. I tested the waters. I went against what my mama always taught me not to do. I made up my mind. I said, I don't know how much money it is. I said, but I'm going to take that. I'm taking that up out of here. So everybody started leaving. They was like, honey, we're going to turn off the lights so you don't have to worry about the lights or anything. Just shut the door behind you. Like that. And I said, okay. So I had a few more letters, y'all. I looked over there. The supervisor, that bitch gone. Her lights off. Everything's off. She's gone. Okay, so I had a few more letters and shit. Everybody gone. I'm the only one back there. So I hurry up and shit, finished what I was doing, got on the computer. No, I hurry up, finished what I was doing and shit, right? So I reached down in the garbage can, got the envelope out of it and stuck it in my pants, down in my pants, okay, in the front of my pants. I stuck it in there and I hurry up and tighten up my panties and shit and all of that. So, and pull my pants up and button it up. So I hurry up and shit, got everything up out of there and shit. I'm hurrying up. I got all my shit, stacked everything, got Carlos' work, my work, and stacked it on the shelf and shit, y'all. I hurry up and empty the garbage can, put that motherfucker back, grab my jacket and my purse. I got up out of there. So I'm walking out of there and shit. So as I'm walking, I run into my supervisor. You just leaving? I said, yes, I am. She said, why are you leaving so late? I said, because I didn't get no help with Carlos' work today. So I was end up doing it by myself. Oh, no, you supposed to get help. They supposed to help you. I said, well, nobody did. Nobody didn't help me. I said, I had to do all of his work and plus my work too. Oh, okay. Okay, well, I'll talk to them on Monday about that. And I was like, yeah, do that. And I walked out the door, y'all. I said that. I said, yeah, and do that. Because I was basically done, but not done because I needed that job, okay? So, y'all, I'm walking down the street. So, I'm mad. So, I'm walking down the street going to my bus stop. I'm mad as hell. Then, all of a sudden, y'all, my frown went to a smile because I was like, motherfucker, you done walked out this motherfucker with some money. You done took some money. So then I get sad again, like, oh, my mama killed me and she found out I got this money. Ooh, she gonna kill me. And then I get smiled at face again. Ooh, shit, I want to know how much money this is. So I'm on the bus, y'all. It seemed like it took me damn near 3 hours to get home. It took a long time to get home that day. The goddamn envelope is scratching me in between my legs and shit. Y'all, I can't hardly be still. I'm so anxious and shit. So I finally get home. I didn't walk down to the house, y'all. I ran to the house. I ran to the house, locked the door, went downstairs in the basement and went in the bathroom and locked myself in the bathroom. Pulled that motherfucking envelope out of my pants, y'all. Opened it up and I read the letter again. It said, I hope that this do you some justice. And I read it again. It said, I hope that this do you some justice. And y'all, I put the doggone little white piece of paper down and I pulled the money out. When I say pull it out, it was like a stack like this. I pulled it out with nothing but 20s for what I could see. I began to count 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. $1,000. No damn, no, $1,000. That's just what I said. I'm going crazy. This $1,000. I ain't never had $1,000 in my hand in my life. This is $1,000. Count it again. 1,000. Oh shit, $1,000, y'all. I got the jumping around, baby. I had to stop. Thank God. I'm like, Lord, please forgive me. I know what I done was wrong, but $1,000, I said, the note said, I hope we do you some justice, God. Please give me a pass for this. Baby, I was down in the basement shaking and moving around and shaking and moving around, baby. Woo-wee. So I said, okay, calm down. Where you gonna hide it at? Since I hung out in the basement all the time, y'all, I took that $1,000 and stuck it up under the bar downstairs in our house. I stuck it up under the bar and I left and went downstairs and went upstairs to my room and I shut the door. So I'm just in the crib. I'm just chilling. I'm chilling. I'm nervous. I'm chilling because it's Friday. I'm nervous and I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I'm like, oh man, I'm scared. I wonder what's going to happen on Monday because I'm scared. I say, I don't know for sure if it's cameras and all that shit. So I'm working myself up, y'all. I'm just chilling. I'm tripping. I'm in the house. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. So my girl called me. She was like, hey, she said, oh, you missed last weekend. We had fun. This weekend we're going back to the beach again and we're gonna barbecue. We're gonna do what we do and everything like that too. She said, now this weekend, she said, we gonna all have on red again. She said, come on, I want you to come on. I'm like, so what time you gonna go? She said, well, I'm gonna go over there. We're gonna be over there at 11 o'clock. You want to go? I was like, yeah, I want to go. I'm gonna go this time. I'm gonna go this time. She said, okay, don't forget to get your red, bring your swimming suit, your towel and your blanket and all of that stuff, okay? And she said, I'll come pick you up. And I'm like, cool, like that. So I'm sitting, when I hung up talking to her, I'm like, man, I can't go. I ain't got nothing to put on like that. I ain't got no money. I ain't got nothing to put on. And I was like, oh, yes, you do. You got some money. Go on down there and get you $100 and go to the store and get you an outfit. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So, y'all, it was about at least about 6 o'clock, between 6 o'clock, 6:30, something like that. So I hurried, put my gym shoes on, went down in the basement, count out $100 and baby, and put it in my pocket. And I told my mama, I'll be back. She was like, where you going? I said, I'm going to go on 63rd and Halston, like that. She was like, okay. She said, okay. She said, if you have any extra money, bring us something to eat back. I said, I will, sure will, like that. So I jump on the bus and shit. I get to the bus stop, the bus coming. I jump right on the bus, rode the bus to 63rd and Halston, baby. Went to the motherfucking the little $5 store and shit. Went in there, baby. Went and got me some shorts, baby. They had some shorts for $10. I got me 2 pairs of shorts, baby. And then I say, no, you know, I'm gonna get me 4 pairs of shorts, baby. I end up getting me 4 pairs of shorts, baby. I got me 4 t-shirts and 4 shirts. I got me 4 t-shirts and I got me 4 shirts, okay? And then I went on and got me some stuff to do my hair, baby. I got my little hair, my glue, my nails, baby. You know, back in the old days, they used to sell that little body spray, the Impressor. They used to sell that in a can, and they used to sell sexy red, and they used to sell this other kind too, this other imitation, this other kind of perfume. But anyway, and they used to sell a lot of those perfume, $3-4, baby. I end up giving me about 9 of those cans, baby. I end up getting me some new gym shoes, every pair of outfit, because back then they called it the white girl gym shoes. So the white girl gym shoes came out. They came out with black, red, blue, yellow, all colors in the white girl gym shoes. So every outfit that I picked out, y'all, I bought me a pair of white girl gym shoes with them, baby. And I got me some little Bobby socks, baby. I was ready. I was ready. End up getting myself another little bathing suit. I got me a beach towel, all that shit, y'all. Got through getting all my shit, y'all. I think it came out to at least about maybe $50 or a little bit more than that. So I end up getting all that shit, y'all. I get ready to get on the bus and shit. Ride down, get off the bus, stop at the restaurant. Get my mama now. My mama liked her Tanya beef. She liked the gyros, and I got my mama Tanya beef. I got my mama 2 Tanya beefs for gyro. I got me a Tanya beef gyro. Got my little brother some French fries and all that shit. I got my stepdaddy, he some food. So we had food to eat and a bunch of drinks. I stopped at the little store and got drinks and shit for all of that. And baby, I got back on that bus and went straight back to the crib. So I hurry up and dropped everything off in the basement, all my clothes and shit, so my mama won't find out. I drop all that off, the clothes and all of that shit. So I run back upstairs, get my mama the food and shit. So anyway, and all of that shit. So I started doing my hair, got my hair done and everything. So the next day, y'all, it's time to go to the beach. Go to the beach and shit, y'all. Get ready to get to the beach. My friend came and get me. So in the car was her boyfriend, little brother. So a boyfriend, little brother, he was like, hey, how you doing? And all that stuff. And I'm like, cool. So, you know, we talking, we hanging out and shit. So he was like, can I share my blanket? Can I share your blanket? And I'm like, cool. So we at the beach, we having a good time, meeting people, we swimming and all that type of shit. So y'all, that was Saturday. Okay. So it's over with. No. So the little boy give me his phone number. He give me his phone number. So we talking and shit like that. So I get ready to go home and shit. They take me home. So he was like, call me tomorrow. Maybe we can go to the movies or something. We can do something tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, cool. We can do that. So anyway, I called him and shit. Sunday, we talking on the phone Sunday, all day Sunday and shit. He was like, you want to go to the movie? Not all day Sunday. He was like, you know, we talked that little morning. He said, you want to go to the movie? And I was like, yeah, I can go to the movie. He said, I'm going to tell my brother, and then maybe my brother and your best friend, they can go with us like that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like that. So I'm thinking we got some set up. So my friend called me, girl, you told him that you want to go to the movie. I said, yeah, he had volunteered his brother and told his brother to come in, and his brother said he was going to invite you. She said, girl, I'm not trying to go to no movies. I got a date today, and my other boyfriend coming to get me. Actually, he on his way to get me now. I was like, oh, you got another boyfriend? I didn't know you had another boyfriend. She said, yeah. She said, I got 2 boyfriends. I was like, oh, okay. And she was much older than me. She was like 17 or 18 at that time. So I was like, okay, cool. So she said, what I need you to do, I need you to call him and cancel it. You can't go either. I'm like, what? I would like to go with him. She said, no, because if you go, he going to want me to go, because I'm finna call him and tell him that I don't want to go. You know, I told him I'd call him back and let him know what I'm going to do. Like that. So anyway, I called little boy back. I say, hey, I can't go. I got to babysit my brother and this, that, and other. He was like, okay, no problem, this, and that, and other. He said, well, we could just talk on the phone. So we talked on the phone, you know, back and forth. So anyway, that was Sunday. So here come Monday morning, y'all. I get up, I'm scared as hell. I'm so nervous. I can't even keep my damn ass still. I'm so nervous getting ready for work and shit. You know, so I'm getting ready and shit. I get up, I get out the door, I catch the bus. I get to work. I get to work. Everybody, hey, like everybody do. Hey. I'm like, hey y'all, this like nothing. Everybody speaking shit like that there. So y'all, I didn't even sit in my seat good. This bitch called me and said, the supervisor, come here. I need to talk to you. So I get up, go in the office where she was at and shit. She was like, well, she said, unfortunately, we got to let you go. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, unfortunately, we got to let you go. And I'm thinking it was about the money. Because I was like, oh, shit, I'm in trouble. I'm a dead bitch walking. Dead bitch walking is what I'm saying to myself. Dead bitch walking because I'm thinking it's the money. So I was like, why? She said, well, you caused a lot of confusion at this job. Everybody has been getting on her back, starting arguing with her, and it's just been a big mess since you repeated what I said. And I told you good not to tell what I said. And I said, yeah, and it happens. I said, well, she asked me, and I told her. Like that. She said, well, whatever you got to say, you are a child, and I'm not finna argue with a child. You don't have to work today. You will no longer work for this company anymore. I was like, ain't that a bitch? She said, what you say? I say, ain't that a bitch? I said, this is really fucked up. Oh, how dare you? How dare you curse at me? I say, it's what the fuck I said. I said, this is fucked up. I lost my job over your friend. Like that. She was like, you lost your job because you opened your mouth and you was not supposed to. I said, I'm not your child. You don't tell me what to do. Like that. And I said, okay, fine. I said, let me get my timesheet. Like that. Well, what are you going to do with your... I said, I'm finna sit here and write down every day I work and plus my overtime. I'm going to write it out on this piece of paper. I said, either I can write it on this piece of paper or you can go copy my timesheet and bring it back to me. Like that. Oh, I'll copy it for you. I say, no, that's okay. I don't even want you to copy it for it. I said, I will write it out. Y'all, I sat there and wrote out my whole motherfucking timesheet on that piece of paper, baby. And when I got done writing it, I signed it and I made her sign it. I say, now sign it and then initial it. She looked at me like, little motherfucker, what you know about that? I say, I need you to sign my timesheet and I need you to initial it as well. I don't have a problem with that. So she signed it and she initialed it. And then I took my original timesheet and put it up there, back where it belonged, and punched out. So I get ready to leave, y'all. I'm leaving. I did just what Carlos did. Pick my shit up. And got my shit up, and everybody, why, where you going, baby? Where you going, baby? Where you going? I ain't say nothing. I just got my shit, my purse and shit, and I got up and left. It was like, wait a minute, where you going, baby? Where you going? What's going on? Where you going, baby? Where you going, mom? So the old lady, she came out. Both of the two old ladies, they came out. Wait, what's going on? I said, I don't work here anymore. They was like, what happened? I said, she fired me because she said I got into it with this lady, and she said, this is some bullshit. She said, every time we turn around, this bitch is constantly firing people. She said, this is not finna end. She said, we finna take care of this. She said, take my phone number. Call me, baby. Call me. Here's my phone number. Give me your phone number. She said, this right here is gonna stop. This bitch gotta go. She got to go because she constantly keep firing these young kids and they need these summer jobs. We are sick of this bitch. She gotta go. She ain't been here longer than I have. She gotta go. So those two ladies, I said, no, it's okay. I'm all right. I'm cool. She's like, no, this is fucked up. She don't have no right to keep firing these kids. She just let Carlos go. She let another girl go. Then she let you go. I'm sick of this shit. So I was like, all right. And I was like, all right, y'all, I'm gonna go. Take care. They was like, baby, it'll be okay. She said, just remember, when one door closes, another one will. When one door's shut, another one will open up. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, thank you, y'all. And so I gave him a hug and stuff. They said, we're going to be calling you when we do little picnics and barbecues and things like that so you can come out and hang out with us and this, that, and that. And I was like, okay. I said, well, tell everybody bye and take care. Like that. They was like, we will. Like that. So I left, y'all. So as I'm walking to the bus stop, I just started getting a little teary-eyed. I'm like, man, this bitch didn't fire me at this job. Mind you, y'all, I still had about at least three more weeks of working. I at least had about at least 3 more weeks. No. I at least had about a month left of working. Okay. I had a whole month left of working, but I didn't have no job. So I was crying walking to the bus stop, y'all. So I get on the bus, something say, go down there to the job program. So I caught the bus and went to the job program. I get to the job program, there go Miss Shirley. And she looked at me. She say, like that. She say, hey. She said, you the person that I wanted to see. And I was like, Miss Shirley, I got something to tell you. She said, you ain't got to tell me. I already know. She said, she called me and told me that she let you go. And I told her that I am going to investigate this. She said, because you didn't let go 3 or more of my people that I sent over here to this job to work. And if find out that you are firing them over some bullshit. She said, and I just started crying. I was like, I really like my job. She said, everybody likes this job. She said, that's why this bitch be firing her. She said, excuse my language. She said, but I'm mad, honey. She said, I'm mad. She said, every time I turn around, she's letting go my people. She just let Carlos go. Like that. For some bullshit. She said, now she let you go. She said, tell me what happened. I said, because I told the lady, her best friend, that, you know, it's okay. I'll get my own trash because you already made a problem telling the supervisor that I don't like to empty my trash and I'm lazy. She said, yeah. She said, she didn't tell me that. She just told me that you snapped off on the lady behind you and you ain't nothing but a minor and you ain't got no business snapping off on nobody. I said, no, that's not what happened. She said, okay. So I started crying. She said, don't cry. She said, what you crying for? She said, don't cry. I said, because I lost my job and I need my job. I need to work. She said, don't worry about it. She said, have you ever heard when one door closes, another one open? She said, just as she hung up and told me that shit about she let you go, another job called for somebody. And she said, I got the right person for that job. She said, I'm so glad you stopped in. She said, because I was going to call you on the phone. She said, I'm glad you stopped in down here. She said, now I got another job for you. She said, don't pay as much as this job pay. But the best thing is, it's closer to your home. It is walking distance. And I really think that you will enjoy this job. Like that. And I was like, yeah. She said, that way, she said, you won't be missing any money. Your money will still go. She said, you got to start the job tomorrow. And you got to be at this job at 8 o'clock. Okay? You got to be at this job at 8 o'clock. And you don't get off until 3. And I'm like, well, what is it? She said, it is a job that you will be working at the school. You'll be relieving the teachers for their breaks. It's summer school. You'll be working in the summer school. And you'll be relieving the teacher with their breaks. And you'll be going outside for recess with the kids. You'll be helping serving the kids lunch. And everything else they ask you to do. That's what you do. And I'm like, for real? I'm like, so what a school is that? She say, it's the school down the street. I'm like, oh man, that's the school I graduated from. She was like, yes. She said, that's the school you'll be working at. She said, so tomorrow morning, you get there at 8 o'clock. Okay? And I was like, thank you so much, Miss Shirley. You such a blessing to me. You such a blessing to me. And thank you so much for helping me. She said, let me tell you something. She said, always want more. Just because somebody shut the door on you, she said, you go find another door and you open it up. And she said, every time you get a job, she said, work hard at what you do. She said, be the best that you can be at any job. She said, just mind your business and do your job. She said, never let anybody know what you're doing at your job. Don't let them know if you got another job. Don't let them know if you got a new car. Don't let them know if you bought yourself a house. He said, never tell any of the people that you work with ain't nothing about you. Remember that. When you grow up to be a woman, always remember that. At your job, there's nobody your friend. Don't trust nobody. Do you understand me? I was like, yes, Miss Shirley. She said, now you got a piece of the cake. You know how this world run with grown adults. And see, grown adults lie on children. I was like, I knew it. I knew it. That's why I was trying to tell my mama that the grown people lie on kids like that. And she said, well, okay. She said, I'm glad we got that. I said, now I got to go tell my mama. She said, just tell your mama you switched your job. She said, don't tell her that you got fired, because I know your mom might not. She might not like it. She might not. She said, well, just keep it safe. And it's okay for you to say that. Just tell your mom that they switched your job to the closer to the house. Okay? And I said, okay, I will. She said, take care, baby. She said, be all you can be. Be all you can be and never let nobody tell you you can't. Okay? I was like, okay, thank you, Miss Shirley. She said, now, I said, what about my check? She said, you don't have to come down here and get your check anymore. Your check will be at the job. Your check will be at the job, okay? You'll pick your checks up at the job, okay? And I was like, okay. She said, well, I don't want to see you back down here. She said, I don't want to see you back down here till next year, right? I was like, yeah. She said, I got your phone number. She said, I'm going to be checking up on you. She said, don't be surprised I come down there to that job and check on you, okay? I was like, okay, Miss Shirley. So I gave her a big hug. She said, congratulations. She said, just keep doing what you got to do, baby. She said, you'll be successful in this world. She said, whatever you do in this world is up to you. You don't owe nobody nothing but your mama respect. Owe nobody nothing but God and your mama and your father. You hear me? I was like, yeah, thank you, Miss Shirley. She said, I'm proud of you. Don't be late. Be on time. Okay? I like, okay. And I was like, bye, Miss Shirley. Take care. Now give me another hug. Thank you so much for helping me. Thank you so much for helping me. So, y'all, I ended up going to my new job. And, y'all, I worked that job all the way to the end of the summer, y'all. I worked that job to the end of the summer. But, y'all, that is it. That is the end of this story, y'all. Thank y'all for listening to your girl. Okay? Thank y'all so much for subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to tell somebody about your girl, okay? Okay, y'all. And I want to give a shout out again to all the Junes, baby. Happy birthday, y'all. And many more. Okay, y'all. And that being said, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, baby. And always put on your notification bell, okay? And in the meantime, between time, y'all, come get you a piece, okay? Come get you a piece, baby, okay? And that being said, y'all, God bless. Y'all stay safe and never let anybody sit on your happiness. Bye-bye.